I find it bizarre and a little bit ridiculous that we're taught to choose a career when we're teenagers. Lock it in, climb the ladder, and just stick with it. But if you're an INTJ like me, you've probably realised that system doesn't seem to work for you. Since my early 20s, I've been balancing elite sport and work. So I couldn't chase the perfect job that I had planned for originally before sport came along for me. I had to be really strategic in every decision I made. And honestly, I feel super lucky because that pressure really forced me into a different way of thinking than I was on, and into a mindset that really fit who I am and my personality perfectly. I'll come back to that mindset later. But first, if you're an INTJ and you've been feeling stuck or lost trying to figure out a career, some of this might sound familiar. So you've got drive, but no clear path. You've taught yourself more than most people learn in a decade and still feel behind. You feel undervalued or overlooked. No one sees what you're actually capable of. You crave meaningful work, but everything feels shallow, repetitive, or bureaucratic. You're constantly overthinking your next move and stuck in planning mode. You've tried seeking help or advice, but it's always too vague, too fluffy, or doesn't apply to the way that you think. You've hopped jobs or paused goals, and you're worried that your time is slipping away. You hate office politics and small talk, and you're exhausted by inefficiency. You want autonomy, mastery, and purpose, but you can't seem to find the right combination. And you're starting to wonder if something is wrong with you. But if any of that hit home, you are not alone. You are not broken. You just haven't been shown a strategy that fits how you're actually wired. But I actually think it would work for most people as well. But I know from experience that it works for INTJs. It reminds me of that story of that bird who lives in the golden cage. She was admired by everyone who passed, fed daily, safe, comfortable. She sang when she was expected, tilted her head just right, and even forgot that she had wings. One morning, she realised the door was open. No one had opened it. It had always been that way. She stared, hesitated, and then without a sound, she stepped on the edge and flew. Just like that bird, sometimes we forget we have wings. We get so used to get the cage or the system that we're in, path that we're supposed to follow, that we don't see that the door's been open the whole time. So what if there's a smarter way to build your career? I used to think I had it all figured out, right? Choose a career at 17, make it make sense, lock it in, follow the path. For me, it was animals. And from a very young age, I wanted to work in a zoo. So I grew up on a farm. I did work experience in a pet shop. I did work experience in a vet clinic. In year 11, I found out what uni degree I had to do, and I took all the right subjects. And when I went to uni, I started a Bachelor of Science in Conservation and Wildlife Biology because that was the degree that my cousin's best friend did to be the keeper of the orangutans in the Perth Zoo, which I was really fascinated by. Primates. I was ticking off the list and doing all the right things. Then sport showed up. I only started sport at 21 and it really kind of flipped everything for me. So before that, I hadn't done any formal training in any sport. And so suddenly the kind of normal career path that I had planned out for so long and really was working towards this whole time was a little bit out the window. And I think working with animals really is it like a full-time job. It's hard to come in and out and be a part-time worker with that sort of thing, or with what I wanted to do in it. Weirdly, that was the best thing that ever happened to me because it forced me to stop trying to find the job and start thinking in a completely different way. And because I was pursuing sport at that time, my thinking changed to what might I want later? Not what job title, not what industry I wanted to work in, but what would give me freedom, what would give me autonomy, what would give me options later down the line. So I thought, if I ever want a family, both my parents are teachers and they always had the holidays off and we didn't have to go really into daycare, and it's a really stable job. And so I thought being a teacher would be a really good skill to have, very safe. It's very important to me to be financially safe as well. And you're always going to need teachers forever and ever. There's always going to be some form of teacher in the world, right? And if I was going to be a teacher, I wanted to be in high demand. I wanted to be able to walk into a job whenever I wanted to. So I looked into it a bit, thought about it a bit. Sports teachers are everywhere. It's hard to be a sports teacher, get a job as a sports teacher. Science and maths teachers are highly sought after and you can walk into a job pretty much anywhere. Like there's always a need for science and maths teachers. So I was doing a science degree, so I added on a math minor to that degree to make sure that I was covering science and math in my bachelor studies. Then because I was doing sport and it kind of worked out studying, I went straight into doing a teaching degree after that. So then I could become a secondary science and maths teacher. And so all while doing this to support myself, I was working a lot of jobs that I didn't really care about, but the purpose of doing those jobs was for the money. And so I never saw them as a waste. And on reflection, when I think about it, what I was doing is I treated everyone as training. I took every certification I could. I built relationships. I offered my ideas. I made systems better, and I did everything within my capacity to do whatever job I was doing in the best way that I could. I've never gotten a job by applying through the standard processes, like applying online or putting in a resume. I've applied for a lot of jobs that way and never ever got one, even though my resume looked really good, because what they want is the experience in that job. And I used to get so frustrated by it. But what has happened over and over again in my life, so it's not just down to luck, is that I have always gotten jobs just come into my life through people I know. They've seen how I've worked and they know who I am. And that's how I've sort of gotten into that job. There have been a couple where I've gotten like the really basic entry-level job, which I've been like overqualified for, because I knew that I would either work my way up and like make the connections I needed to work my way up, or I would find out that industry wasn't for me. Either way, I wasn't stuck. I was always sort of moving and learning and growing. And I've always had this belief that worst case scenario, I can go work a labor job, I can go work at McDonald's, I can go do any sort of job that pays money. I don't want to ever work a service job. It's just not for me. I'm not very servicey. But that's my belief. You're not too good for anything. Worst case scenario, I can go do that, and that's my safety, I guess. Like, you can always do something. And when you know that, then you stop sort of making fear-based decisions and you stop chasing security, and then you start building options. And so like when I was in the pandemic, I just decided I think I would really like to be in charge of like myself or run my own little thing one time. And like people value degrees, right? So I was like, what's a sort of management degree that I can do that's not going to cost me an arm and leg? So I found a project management certification, but with no idea of what I wanted to do with it. I'm just like, project management, like a management thing, is going to give me more freedom in the future, I'm sure. No idea what I'd do with it. But it was only like a couple of years, not even 2 years later, that I used that and was put in a management position. So that's the game. Don't chase the job. Don't lock yourself in. You build skills and you build capabilities and make decisions that give future you more freedom and not less. So just as reference, I'm 33 years old, and this is the list of jobs that I've done since high school. So why does so many INTJs get stuck when it comes to careers? I don't think it's because you don't care. I think it's because you care too much about making the right move or the right decision. Sometimes I get in these kind of loops of paralyzed like I'm just considering so many options and how I feel about it that I'm not making any moves. And it's really important to me to make good decisions and good considered decisions. But what I'm starting to realize is eventually you need to move. Eventually you got to start doing something, and you're going to waste your life if you just sit around caring too much about the right decision, because there's lots of things you can learn while you're deciding what that is. And so while you're trying to optimize everything from the start, that means you're like over planning and underreacting. And sometimes it tricks you. It kind of feels productive because you learn a lot. Like, it's not like you just sit around doing nothing. You're like researching and you're planning and you're figuring it out, and you're getting stuff done in your head, but not in reality. So nothing in reality is actually changing. And I mean, I get it. It's like, because we have this real thing about wasting energy, right? Like, is it worth it? Are we going to waste our energy on it? But it's never a waste if you learn something from it or you're getting something from it, right? So we're like not built for constant output. It's like more of a precision thing. So we want to make the right choice. But if your expectation is to be perfect and really effective or really efficient every time, it becomes resistant to experimentation, and you're not learning things in reality, just in your head. So I used to have this huge thing where I didn't want to try something if I didn't think it would work or I didn't know that it would work. So it's like safer in your head, right? And then you stay stuck. I had to go through 2 years of forcing myself in really uncomfortable situations to do everything that I thought that I would suck at, to prove to myself that I actually can't plan it all through my head. Sometimes you just need a little bit of reality feedback. And sometimes you don't suck at the things that you think that you would suck at. So here's the reframe that really helped me. Your current job, even if it's not your dream job, is giving you something. It's either giving you money, it's either giving you skills, or it's giving you clarity on what you want to do next or what you don't want to do. It's giving you something. There's always something that it's giving you. Most of the time, it's money. If you hate everything about it, it's giving you money, right? That's not a waste. One of our deepest fears, it's always coming back to like, is this going to be worth it? It's always worth it. It's always going to be giving you something. So if you have that mindset, the answer is always going to be yes, it's always going to be worth it. So you need to leverage it. You need to use it. So if we're not meant to pick the one perfect career, what is it that we do instead? What I like to do is I like to think in missions, not in careers. Treat each season of work like a little quest. What am I learning here? What am I building? Who am I meeting? It could be paying your bills. It could be meeting someone. It could be teaching you something. It could be really just forcing you out of your comfort zone. It could be teaching you a whole bunch of things in patience and how to deal with people in meetings and how to zen yourself out when people are asking certain questions. And you could always like stack the side quests, right? So you can have your main thing and then you can have all these side quests. You can do freelance if it makes sense. You can do the certification. You can take the part-time course. Get the experience even if it's like not sexy yet. You don't have to love the job and you don't have to stay in it forever. You're not trying to become someone else. You're just collecting tools to make the future you more powerful and more resourceful. And yeah, sometimes you do have to play the game. You have to smile when you think it's dumb. You have to sit through the meeting. And sometimes you have to keep your head down, not protest too much, just enough to get what you need. Sometimes you don't have to become the system. You just need to know how to move through it. And then you want to be tracking your skills. You want to be knowing your value and you want to build on that slowly. There's no rush to build on that, but with intention, because when the right opportunity comes, you won't be scrambling to get ready. You will already be there. And so it's not luck, it's being ready. So when opportunities come, because I thought about it so much because I was like, how am I so lucky that I just walk into jobs wherever I am? And it's not luck, it's being open to opportunities and being open to say yes. Honestly, it's also completely fine for you to kind of like become proficient or competent at something and then get bored of it and then go and do something else. Like, what's wrong with that? Even while supporting myself in elite sport, and this is not to gloat, but just to use as an example, because I've been building my skills, every job that I've got pays more than the last one. And they're all in completely different fields. Because I've got all of these skills and I've got all of these capabilities and I bring them with me. I bring them with me into the new situations and I can apply them. Like even doing this YouTube stuff, right? The teaching helps me in the communication and like designing scripts and lessons and stuff like that. The management obviously helps me in building my own business. Like the horse riding probably taught me to like do things when I don't want to, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and stuff like that. People value skills. You just have to give them the opportunity to see it. So you can take the entry job, you can do the assistant work, and you can make connections, understand the current systems, and people will see how you operate. And honestly, if it's in an organization where they don't, then you probably should move on from there anyway. So what do I think success actually looks like to people who are wired a little bit differently? It's not about chasing job titles or sticking to someone else's ladder. It's building freedom, impact, options on your own terms. That's what I believe. That might look like consulting, that might look like starting your own thing, or you might be like the go-to person within a niche role or something that actually lets you think, lets you problem solve, and lets you build something that you enjoy and consider meaningful. INTJs don't want to just work. They want to design it. They want to do it in their own way. It has to be purposeful. So make the purpose building your skills so that you have the freedom when the opportunities come up for you. So the mindset that I mentioned at the start, it's really pretty simple. Stop chasing the perfect job. Start building leverage. If you want a great book to read on this, read the book So Good They Can't Ignore You by Newport. Would recommend, because it's not about fitting someone else's system. It's about building one that works for you. That's how you stop feeling stuck. And if the door is open, and it probably is, don't need permission. You just need to step on the edge and fly. If you enjoyed this video and you have a constant sense that you feel misunderstood, you might want to check out this one.